Welcome to Blender Game Master, where beginners become pros. Today I'm going to be working on making a cannon. This is kind of a beginner's intro to Blender, assuming you've got the basics of how to set it up and install it and all that already figured out from my previous two videos. So, as you can see here, we've got a basic 3D view. I'm going to turn on Met Caps, and I'm going to change it to this red color because it allows you to see details really well. Then, notice we're in Cycles Render. And so then we need background images. I'm going to add two images that I found previously online of old warship cannons. So here's a blueprint of a cannon, and the other one is actually the cannon photograph. So I'm actually going to grab that one too. And now we have the two pictures. You can't see them right now because we're in a view that's not flat, so I'm going to press F7. Numpad 7, and I'm going to press 5 to get out of perspective mode, and now you get the two background images there. And obviously it doesn't work like that. I'm going to start by using the photograph image, so I'm going to hide the other image, which is here. I'm going to move this image to the front, and I did the wrong image. Great. I'm going to move the image to the front. We'll try this again. And make it so that it's fairly see-through. Okay, now shift space bar to go to full view mode. I'm going to first I'll hit X, delete the sphere. I'm going to add a cylinder. I'm going to rotate the cylinder 90 degrees. I'm going to get rid of the end caps first of all, so there's no caps on the ends of it. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And I'll rotate it 90 degrees. Not that way, but this way. I'm going to set it to smooth. So you can see it got rid of all the wrinkles. And you can see it also got rid of our information down here, so we can no longer change things of the shape of it. Which is just, I don't know, it's a really bad feature of Blender, which they're working on fixing, so hopefully they'll have that fixed. Oh, I just shifted by pressing Tab and using Pie mode, which I have turned on, and you can just go to whatever you want. In this case I'm on Edit mode and I release Tab, and it goes to that thing. So if I'm here and I go to Weight Paint and I release, it goes to Weight Paint. If I go to Edit mode, it goes to Edit mode. So I'm going to now press A to deselect all. If I press again, it selects all. I'm going to make it so that you can see through, and that's hard to see, but if I go like this and you make it click this, you can see that this line comes in here. I'll do it again so you can see it. That means that you can see through the model, and that's useful when we're selecting. So right now I want to select all of these vertices, and if I didn't have that turned on, it wouldn't select the ones behind, which obviously would not be a good thing. I'm going to make it approximately this big. Going to scale it. Oops. Select all, and then scale it. G for grab to move it. Scale it along the X. Now as you can see, we need to rotate something. You could rotate the mesh, which would work, but then you're always having this mesh that's out of alignment, and that can be a really big pain. I don't recommend it. So instead, I'm going to rotate the image. And you can see here we can rotate the background image. If I press spacebar, it rotates it in smaller increments. So I'm going to grab it again, because obviously we want it lined up. I'm going to rotate some more. And grab it. And scale it up a little bit. Grab it again, center it. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Okay, I'm now going to make this a little fuller. You can see here that this cannon was cast in one piece, even these funny ridges. I really don't know why they made it so complicated. Maybe it's just to make it look cooler. I really don't know. But it's quite a complicated shape. And especially like here at this end, you can see all these rings. And there's no easy way to do that in Blender. I'm going to push it to the back so our model will be in front of it. There are a lot of possibilities, but I think the easiest way is just to use the extrude. So I'm going to deselect everything. I'm going to then use circle C to select these. I'm going to use X to delete all of these vertices. And now we just have these here at the end. I'm going to select all of them. I'm now going to use the extrude key. I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Well, first I'm going to scale it down. Well, first I'm going to grab it. You can see the shape here is a sphere. So I'm going to extrude, sorry. Select all, scale it down to the right size, center it a little better. You can see that this ring here isn't perfectly flat. That's because the cannon itself is a photograph, and that means it's automatically in a perspective mode. Deselect all, select linked, grab, does that help me? No. Okay, I'm going to select all, which I've already done. I'm going to select vertices. Yeah, and that's Control V. And I'm going to remove doubles. Because I extruded it and you can see 32 vertices were removed. That's because I had vertices on top of vertices. Because I extruded and didn't move anything. That can be a really big problem for beginners who don't realize they've done that mistake. And then they get vertices on top of vertices and they're hard to see. So now with them all selected, I'm going to extrude. Just going to move along the X. Going to extrude, move along the X again. And now I'm going to scale down so it fits. Extrude, X, scale, extrude, X, scale. And I'll just keep doing this process. And I did it again. See, I did not move them, but in this case I can grab them easily enough. That's not a big problem. Extrude, X, scale. And we're not going to worry too much about this end piece here because we're going to need to fix that up later. Okay, now I want these. I'm going to do Shift, Alt, and click on the line. And you notice I clicked this vertex first because if it had these over here selected, and I did this, I'd also have this selected, and I only want these. So this, put the cursor on the line, Shift, Alt, right click, and I get the whole line of them. I'm going to scale it up a little bit here. I'm going to push it back a little bit. Actually, no, I'm going to scale back down. And then now I'm going to extrude, scale up, extrude, move forward. Because of that ring, I'm making that ring. I'm going to extrude and scale down a little bit. I've just created that little ring on the spherical part there. Now I'm going to extrude out again. I'm going to scale that just a little bit. Extrude X again, and try to keep your faces square. It'll help later when we're having to surface things and unwrap things. So now I'm just going to go really quick here. Same process, extruding, scaling. Extruding, scaling. I'm pressing the X key to make sure that after I extrude, I'm moving it over. But if I press the X key, you can see it snaps. And I want that. Now we're getting into these funny rings here. I'm going to scale up. I'm going to extrude. I'm going to scale up a little more. I'm going to push it forward just a little teeny bit. You can see this time I just grab that little arrow. Extrude. Scale up. Move forward to that ring. I'm going to extrude. Scale up. Extrude. Move forward. You don't have to press X. It's just I don't know, being a little anal retentive, I guess. Extrude, scale up, move a little forward. Extrude, scale up, extrude, scale up, and move a little forward here. And if we take it from the side, if I switch to object mode, you can see, oh, we gotta go to smooth, but you can see how I'm getting these ring shapes going here. Okay, press 7 to get back to this thing. Tab, edit mode, let go. I'm going to extrude. Go forward just a little bit. Extrude, scale up, move forward. Extrude, move forward a little bit. Scale up. This is a pretty big jump here. Extrude, a little bit forward, extrude, scale up, another big jump, forward, extrude, just a little bit forward, another big jump, extrude, scale it up, extrude, move up into the wrong thing here. Grab X, I want to move forward. And scale up a little bit. Now we're to this ring. The most accurate place as far as where it's positioned here or here is the middle. I know I've been kind of working on the top edge because it was easier to see, but when you can, try to base your sizes and judgments on the middle point here. Okay, so I'm going to extrude, scale up, extrude, move, Control Z to undo that. I'm going to grab it and move forward. Actually going to scale down. I don't like that. X, delete vertices, select the vertice. Alt Shift on the line. I want to extrude, scale up, extrude, come forward, grab X, come forward, extrude, scale down a little bit. Extrude, come forward. Keep doing that. grab X, forward, extrude, scale down a little bit, extrude X, come forward quite a bit, and I'm going to scale that down a little bit too. Extrude X. Looks like there's some little ring, looks like a little ring here. So I'm going to extrude to the base of the ring, extrude, scale up, extrude, grab, come forward a little bit, extrude, scale down a little bit, just a little bit, extrude, grab X, then come forward a lot bit. You can see this little piece at the top here. We'll come back to that later. We'll just add it as a detail. Extrude, scale up a little bit, extrude, come forward a little bit, extrude, scale down a little bit, extrude, come forward a little bit, extrude, scale up a little more, extrude, come forward quite a bit, extrude, scale down a little bit, extrude, come forward a little bit, extrude, scale down a little bit, and now we're to this big flat surface here. Extrude, come forward, we're back to our squares. But we don't really need to do squares, so I'm just going to come all the way to here. And as you can see, it's too big. I'm going to hit Shift, number pad plus. That was the wrong key, so I hit 7. Hey, what's going on? Okay, I hit 5, number pad 5. It's Control plus, not Shift plus. And that gives me the next set of vertices. Yeah, I had this set, and then I grabbed to the next set. I'm going to scale them down. I'm going to base it on the top edge here. It's not totally precise, but that's okay. Okay, so now I click this vertice, click in the middle, grab them, I'm going to pull it forward, extrude, scale up a little bit, extrude, come forward a little bit, grab X, come forward, extrude, scale up a little bit, extrude, come forward a little bit, extrude, scale up a little bit, extrude, come forward a lot bit, extrude, scale down a little bit, extrude, come out a little bit, extrude, scale down a little bit, extrude, oops, click S again, grab X, come forward, extrude, scale up a little bit, extrude, come forward, extrude, scale down a little bit. There's a cool little artsy thing up there. Our weapons don't have much art on them nowadays. Extrude, come forward a lot bit. And I'm not going to bore you with doing this over and over and over until we get to the end of the cannon, but you get the idea. I'm going to pause it and I'll come here to the end of the cannon. Alrighty, I just did the rest of the cannon a bit, and you can see here it starts changing sizes a lot, so I'm going to kind of do this again in the boxy way. So extrude X, come out, scale, Shift helps keep your size, extrude, X, come out another box, scale a little bit, just a very little bit. Extrude, come out again, and scale it up a little bit. You can see it's starting to get bigger here. Extrude X out. You gotta do it kind of gradually to get this nice flare. Again, I wonder how necessary this flare really was. How many cannons blew up in people's faces before they figured out that you had to have this nice gentle flare. Okay, now it starts scaling in a little bit again. So actually I'm going to go down here, turn this on, enabled, proportional editing. It has a nice curve. That means when I grab this, it'll grab the whole thing and stretch it. I'm going to make this circle smaller by rolling my mouse rolly button, because I want to bring this up to here. The thickest part of the curve. Kind of roll it until my X's look fairly even. There. I don't get a lot of distortion. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to this extrude to make it smaller. Extrude, come out a little bit. Extrude, make it smaller. Extrude, come out a little bit. Extrude, make it smaller. Extrude, come out a bit. Extrude, make it smaller. I had to check the time. Gotta pick up my son at 6 o'clock. Okay, I'll extrude, make it smaller. Extrude X, come out to the tip of the cannon. Extrude and make it a lot smaller. Okay, now if we take a look at our cannon, I'll switch modes so you can see it better here. You can see it's looking pretty good. Pretty cannon-like. And don't worry too much about all these little crazy details in here, and getting exactly the right shape and exactly the right form, because nobody, except for a Canon expert, and there aren't that many Canon experts in the world, are going to look at your Canon and think, oh my god, these rings here are totally imprecise, and look at these rings compared to these rings, they're not exactly the same, and this muzzle part here just doesn't look right. Nobody's going to see it. It just won't happen unless you get really unlucky and show your picture to a Canon expert. So now I'm turning on the other background image, and we'll get it nice and lined up, and as you can see it's rotated incorrectly. So, of course, we will hide this info, make that info big, and we will rotate our image. And you can also see that our cannon is smaller than the image. So we will take the image and put it where we want it over our cannon, using shift here to make it more precise. I will then shrink size, that is, shrink the cannon picture till it's about the same as our cannon. Play with the opacity. Okay, I'm going to shrink it just a little teeny bit more. That's about right. It doesn't have to be totally perfect. Like I said, nobody will know. there's an interesting feature of this picture that's this inside bore here. So I'm going to go back to edit mode. You can see we have this inside thing here. I'm going to shrink that until they're the same size. And I already knew how big it was because I looked at this picture beforehand. So I'm pretty close, actually. Oops, I gotta turn off the proportional editing. I think O turns that off and on. Yeah, it's the O key. It's a shortcut key. It's good to know them. So now I can shrink that inside diameter until it's just precisely where I want it. There. And notice the flare. My flare doesn't really quite live up to their flare. And the flare is a pretty cool thing, so I want to make my flare a little better. So I'm going to click on that key, Shift Alt, get this loop, expand it a bit, and push it back a bit. And while we're at it, I'll take this loop, push it back some. I could probably do proportional editing here, probably would have been smart, but whatever. Now you can see what happens when I clicked on this line, not that line. Grab that, this back, shrink it down some. And again, don't get too carried away with being precise. Because nobody will ever notice. And it's I'm wasting a lot of time doing this. A little bit of precision that isn't needed. And if you're working, time is money. I'm just goofing off, making a cool video for you guys to see. I want this to stay pretty round here, so I'm going to do Control R. This is a loop cut. Allows me to add another loop right in here. I'm going to scale that loop up. Later on, I'll probably add subsurface, and that will tend to wash out the details of these loops. And the way to put it back in is to put loops right next to each other, and that'll keep the details sharp. But I think that looks pretty good. Now I want this inside loop here. You can see the inside of the cannon, but we don't want to see it like that. Cannons don't look like that. So we want to grab this loop and do a top view again, the comma key, numpad comma, so I can see it. And I'm just gonna, you can see this cut goes all the way back. And unless you're looking right down the barrel, you won't see very deep in, but it doesn't cost us anything to just extrude right straight back. Right back to there. And just for the really anal retentive here, I am going to extrude, scale down to about that size, that little thing, extrude, come back, extrude, scale down, and come back a little bit, extrude, come back a little bit, and scale down to 0. It's not perfect, but nobody will see that detail, so you don't care. At this point, I'm going to select all. I'm going to do Control V for vertices. I'm going to remove doubles. 31 vertices removed, and that's probably all of those vertices right here in this point that were removed. Now we go back to object mode, and we have a pretty cool looking cannon. Go back to shading, switch to a more cannon-like cap. Looks pretty cool, huh? Okay, now that we have our cannon, we gotta go Shift spacebar, and I want to give this Canon a material. So we'll turn off the met caps. I'm going to go over here, and we have this nice material. I'll just call it Canon Black. We're going to start this over. Okay, so you can see here, I've added this Canon Black, and here we have a make it big so you can read it yourself. Fresnel, there we go. Fresnel shader. I learned this from somebody else. If you hover over it, if you click on it and press Tab, you can see what's inside here. And here you can see I have layer weight, the inputs, some math and some mixing, and press Tab again and you get out of that. All that this Fresnel does is makes the edges of things shiny white and the middle part the color that they should be. It's very important detail, but we won't get into that right now. You can go look up videos on Fresnel. It's really interesting, and it's very important to getting your shaders to look correctly. And it's probably the biggest single failure I see with artists, and the reason their things look stupid, well, I shouldn't say stupid, look wrong if they're trying to do photorealism. So Canon is black, right? So we'll make this black. And then right here we want to see what it looks like. So we're going to go to Render. You can see I have a standard sky background, which isn't bad for testing things, but it's always better, almost always better anyway, to use an environmental texture. Open an environmental texture. And downloads, I've downloaded a lot of them. And what would be a good one for a Canon? This is probably just fine for a Canon. This is, I think, from Andrew Price. It's not an ocean, but it looks okay. And we can see if our Canon looks good or not good. And you can see this Canon looks more like a black car than a Canon, which means we need to fix the roughness. So we'll try a roughness of 0.5. Still not looking too Canon-like. I'm going to click on this and pull down, open up a new window. I'm going to change this window to a UV image editor because we have an image of a Canon. Right there. So you can see just how shiny is a Canon and how close is our color. And it's much less shiny than that, so what's that? Let's just try 0.1. Again? No, don't like that. 0.12. Yeah, that looks pretty good. You can also see that the color isn't quite right. Easy way to fix this. Eyedropper. We can just kind of find a place that looks about the right color. There. You gotta watch out when you're selecting colors, because like up here it's pure white. This is your Fresnel color coming in, reflection and glare also, and down here it's so dark that you don't really get the color, so you gotta find a place that's evenly lit and not too glary. So right about here looks pretty good, so I kind of like that color right there. So take this, I'll select a color right about here and see, does it look about right? Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Good color. Now another detail you can see is there are bumps. So we're going to have to do something about bumps. So I'm going to add a texture. I'll try a noise texture. I'm going to add in a vector for normal maps. We're going to put the factor into strength. That's right. And it's really hard to see if our texture is right, so I'm going to just put it right into the color. Oh, let's do that again. Undo that color into the color. Okay. So now you can see the texture doesn't look anything like this texture. So we have to play around. I'm going to make this bigger. I'm going to use T to get rid of that and N to get rid of that. Gives us more space to see our image over there. And here we can start playing with a scale. And I'm going to try 50. That's much more like what we're looking for. Let's even try 75. Yeah, that's not bad. Now I can put that into here. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's pretty good. I want it subtle, I don't want it too crazy strong. Yeah, that's pretty good. Because this is a beginner's thing, I'm not going to get into getting these exact details on these bumps. I'm not sure if I like that. Let's try the strength. I actually think that looks better. And a lot of times you can put it into the roughness. You take this out of here, and you can just put it straight into the roughness and get an interesting look. Or maybe you can do the roughness here. No. Color. We already tried that. Normals. That's not too bad. Let's try it with the actual normal. The correct normal node. Yeah. And what is this line here? I don't like that line. Yeah, so there is our cannon. Ah, I forgot this little detail here. Go to edit mode. Going to go into solid mode. Make it so it's not see-through. I'm going to go to full mode here for edit mode. Make this so it's not see-through because you get too many dots and it's crazy distracting. It's always good in modeling to have your faces that are squares. And here obviously we've got a whole bunch of points coming together. And so I'm just going to go from well, first of all I'm going to make it flat. Okay, so I can take this point, press F, fill. And I can take this point, I'm holding shift here, fill. Then we can just start going quickly. Fill. 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 F. F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not good. But we're not going to worry about it. It's too small and it won't be noticed. Fill. Same thing on the other side. Fill. If you want to go a little faster, hit Control Tab and get from vertice select to edge select. Now we can just go here and here. Fill. Gives you half the clicks. It's faster. And then we want this edge. Oh wait, no, we have one more. We can do fill. Oh, now we have a triangle. Alright, we'll live with that. That's okay. I could do it on the other side too. Doesn't really matter. And there you go. You can see there's a funny look here. This isn't shining like this. That, I'm going to press N to bring up this menu over here. There's a really good chance that my normals aren't right. And that's a very bad thing. So, to see the normals, the normals are if you have a quad and you want to see which direction is that quad facing. That's your normal. And to see your normals, you just scroll down here and you tell it to show the face normals. Huh. Now you can see that all of these are wrong. All of them. I'll go select faces. All of these faces are wrong. These happen to be right. So we press A to select all. We go to Control V. I'm sorry, not Control V. Control F for faces. And flip normals is not what we want. It'll flip most of them, but it'll make our other ones wrong. So we'll go down here to, where is it? Normals. Okay. Recalculate outside. And there we go. Now all your normals are correct. Except, you can see I made a horrible mistake. I filled in the muzzle instead of filling in the back end. That's kind of stupid. But it doesn't matter, because we'll just go through here, select all these, and if you use the middle button, that deselects. So they're all selected. I press X and delete faces. Now we have our nice muzzle back the way it should be. And the way I filled it is the way you'll fill the one on the other side, so I'm not going to bother to redo all that work and make you sit through it. We'll just end the video here. Thank you for watching, and hope it's been at least humorous. Have a good night. Bye.